Hello and welcome back to another Walking Dead video, and today will be my review on The Walking Dead Dead City Season 2 Episode 5, and this episode is a very equal split between Maggie and Negan. We have the Negan plot, which I would say might actually be the weaker plot of this episode. The Negan plot is just about Negan trying to get the last clan of raiders to join his army, and then you have the Croat realizing something's gone wrong, and the whole plan just goes wrong. And then the episode, which I thought it was going to come to at the end with the Negan plot, it then just carries on to develop more into a plot about Negan trying to make the Croat unstable and pitting him against the Dormer. I thought this plot was pretty sucky at first, I'm going to be honest. I feel like the pacing with the Negan plot, especially, was pretty bad up until the Croat and the Negan are reunited again, and it's no longer about trying to increase the army size, it's about Negan trying to get rid of the Croat and trying to get rid of Dharma. And I really think that's the strongest part of this plot. And Negan and what he does in this episode, absolutely amazing. I really like how we're getting that ruthless Negan back, but he's being ruthless for the greater good, if you could think about it. Like, there's lots of scenes where it's clear that Negan's doing it, but he's setting up the Croat in this plot, and that's really interesting. Definitely by the end of this episode, it is really great, but it's just those first few minutes or first half of this episode with Negan is quite boring, I'm gonna be honest. And the same can be said with the Maggie plot. To be honest, I think this is the better plot, and the Maggie plot is about the Major and Jenny, who really annoyed me this episode, taking over the boathouse they're in and staging a coup against Pearlie. And you think this would be a big Pearlie episode? No, he's pushed to the side. It is just the Major's like, they won't join New Babylon, they're now imprisoned. And this plot is a bit more interesting, but it's the same case of, I didn't like how the coup happened off screen. They immediately got rid of Pearlie, and I think should have been a big episode for him. Really annoyed me. Maggie was then sent out, and the next time we see it, Maggie's now back killing New Babylon. They were way too slow, both plots, and I feel like this is not as bad as the Negan plot, but I didn't like the pacing, and both plots are pretty insane by the end. But if I'm trying to look at this episode overall, I would say that this episode does really badly drag in the first half with both plots. One plot is a bit better than the other, but it definitely does drag, and I was like, when is this going to end? But going back to just focus on the Maggie plot, and the end of the Maggie plot, Maggie's come back, and she then frees Pearlie for a tiny bit, and then cages him up again and leaves him. I thought that was dumb. Jenny really annoys me. I don't like how Jenny's gone mute again. That's just another poor writing. Anything around Jenny and the Major. I don't care about the Major. I can't even bothered to look up her name. I just call her the Major because that's her title. And that really annoyed me. But there are some wins. Once Maggie's arrested, we get some really insane scenes. So the leader of the boat people, they die, which is pretty sad. And then all of the boat people, they probably have a name or a group, I call them boat people. They then just start to hum and cry. Walkers break in. And they just let the walkers eat them. It's pretty insane. The ending of this episode is pretty insane. And I thought the Maggie plot's going to have the insane ending. And it does have the insane ending. You have the Major trying to escape with Herschel. And you have Maggie just going full on Mama Bear. Really, really cool. I really enjoyed that night scene. Definitely with the hangings. But I can't get over how Pearlie does absolutely nothing. And I think should have been a big episode for him. He is just there, and they then, big spoilers, they kill off the Major. She just kind of walks into a walker who she literally just hanged, and then just lets them eat her. And I was like, okay, that's that done, that's the plot. And then by the end of this episode, they give some character development to Maggie and Herschel, which I really liked. We get a scene where Herschel was able to open up to Maggie for the first time, it seems like, in years, and definitely the first time in this show. And I really enjoyed it. I liked how Maggie thought she was going to die, Herschel thought he was going to lose his mum, and by the end of the night, they're both alive, and they're like, okay, we need to have a conversation. I really enjoy it. One little thing I do like, Jenny got stabbed in the back. hopefully she might bleed out from it. Probably not. I just really don't like Jenny. I feel like this season they don't know what to do with Jenny. She's gone from speaking to mute again. She wants to kill Negan. She's just there. And definitely when everything's going around and keeps pounding Jenny, she keeps realising she's messed up. That was enjoyable. But that's probably not what we're meant to take out from that scene. But moving past the Maggie plot, which I think was the stronger of the two, we have the Negan plot, which as I said, I didn't like the start of it. Now I want to talk about the ending because we're talking about the endings. I'm okay to spoil. Big spoiler, Negan pits the Croat and the Dharma against each other, and it leads to a fight between both characters, and the Croat kills the Dharma, and I was like, what? She's one of my favourite characters and you just killed her off? I was completely shocked. And that's just an amazing ending for the episode because that's the final scene, and I was like, wow, that was phenomenal. And then I remembered I got to look at the entire episode, and I'm like, okay, this episode might have an amazing ending, but is the rest of it amazing? And I probably would say maybe not, because this episode has two major subplots, and both of these storylines deserve way more screen time. It really sucks. These are both key story moments, and they're merged into the same episode, which means you cannot put enough time into both of them, and they both suffer. I feel like the Negan plot maybe suffered a little more because you literally have Negan pit the Croat against the Dharma in 2 or 3 scenes and it's over. It should have been across an entire episode, not just in the back half of this episode. And it's the same with the whole New Babylon stuff. Why do we not get to see anything in the major stage in the coup? It just really happens really quickly. Pearlie does absolutely nothing, and it's over by the end of the episode. These are both two plots which I think should have had their own episode, and if they had their own episode, both would have been way more fleshed out and been way better. What we got was okay, but it wasn't good, and it left me feeling lacking in my opinion. And it's such a shame. I'm probably being very negative in this review because I expected a lot more from Dead City after the first 4 episodes being very good, and this episode does have some good moments. It's just a shame both of them are right at the end of the episode, and it's a bit boring to get there. And there's some more great characters, like definitely Negan's probably the best character in this episode, then followed by the Croat. Negan goes from being intimidating to being caring because he sees children. I really enjoy that, and I said in last episode, I really liked that you had that Negan Dharma dynamic. It starts with that, and now it's gone because the Dharma's gone. That really annoyed me. And if we move over to my conclusion, I would say overall, The Walking Dead Dead City Season 2 Episode 5 is an okay episode, and I would give it a 5 out of 10. I just cannot give it a 6. I feel like this episode tries to do too much and fails because it's boring but also bloated. They try and ram 2 major story moments into one episode, and both of them end up feel like they're lacking. This should have been 2 episodes, and it maybe seems like this could be the fault of it's the middle of the season, and a lot of the time when stuff's in the middle of the season they can't really do much, and it really sucks because this is definitely my most disappointing episode of Dead City, because season 2 episode 1 to 4 phenomenal so far. There have been some 6s, but it's been building, and episode 4 was phenomenal. Then you get this episode which was just okay, and oh, that episode could have been better. However, this is just my personal opinion, so please tell me down below. Did you really like this episode? Did you not like this episode? And do you agree with my opinions of a 5 out of 10? And definitely think that this episode should have been 2 different episodes. And thank you for watching, and I will talk to you later.